What is up, Terps fans? Welcome into another Fear the Podcast. I'm Matt Moderno. I'm pleased to be joined here today by Adam Hammer, fellow Terp graduate like myself here, right around the same years. We were just talking about that beforehand, so that's awesome. You may recognize the name Hammer from this podcast. You were the first sibling duo to appear on the podcast here. Ryan is the honorary Terp. Adam is the actual Terp here, the other half of the BlueBlooded podcast. So, Adam, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Yeah, just to be clear, I am the only Terp.
You're the real Terp. He's the honorary one. That's right.
Ryan, and he has earned that right, but it was me first. And we're doing the BlueBlooded podcast, which is a lot of fun, kind of just along for the ride. It's Ryan's show. It's there to help steer it.
Yeah, so just let's maybe start with that a little bit. Tell folks what they can expect. Obviously, Maryland, maybe, we have some our bat signal goes up a little bit when we hear some of the blue blood names, just given our luck with all the Greensboro ACC tournaments over the years here. But you guys are really covering everything with college basketball too, not just the top couple big name schools. So fill us in a little bit on the pod.
Yeah, for sure. The name honestly came from Ryan's brain. We batted around a couple of other ideas. Mm-hmm. Look, Ryan has carved out a really nice place in the space here of college basketball, whether it's influencers or analysts or whatever you want to call it. And I think he's done that because he's like super practical and realistic about the things that he does. And he's really transparent. And I love that about him. I think it's a really great, it's a really great kind of characteristic that he has. And he's been able to make a name for himself in the basketball space. He's been talking about doing a podcast for a while. And frankly, I just don't think he trusts anybody else. And he knew that I wasn't going to come in and full in China shop him. Right. So I kind of said this before, but my job is really just be a moderator, keep the trains on the tracks, do some
You're the point guard
behind the scenes. Yeah, you know what? I'm a little bit of everything.
I like it.
So it's really exciting. I'm a huge college basketball fan, obviously. I kind of see my job as for a fellow Terp alum here, I'm the Stanford Steve to his SVP.
I like that. That's good.
So to speak. Mm-hmm. But my real job is to bring Maryland into every podcast at least once. That's kind of where I see myself here. But it's a BlueBlooded podcast. You can find it anywhere there's podcasts. It's either BlueBlooded Pod or BlueBlooded Podcast on all the socials. We just officially did episode 1 that launched. Today's Monday, August 4th. So the first one officially launched today. And we kind of did a half intro episode last week, but really excited to get it going. And we're going to cover everything you can possibly think of in the college basketball space. So Terps and otherwise.
I just listened to episode 1 on my way home from work today. It was awesome. And I would recommend episode 0.5 for everybody because it talks about how you sort of just suckered Ryan into this Terp fandom, this shared suffering, shared pain that we all live through here as Terps fans. So thank you for bringing him on board the Terp bandwagon here.
It's no problem. It was, frankly, he was choosing between Maryland and Rutgers based on his two brothers. So It was an easier battle than you would have thought.
Yeah, that worked out well for him. Although, going into last year, maybe looked a little more promising for some folks here. But
agreed.
Awesome. Well, I hope everybody will go check that out. The link to the podcast will be in the episode description here by the time people are listening to this. So definitely give that a listen. Got a couple different topics for folks here today. First one I just want to run through is the one player from Maryland all time that you would add to this year's Terps roster. So, Adam, I'll let you go first here. Any name that immediately stood out to you as an all-time Terp that you think would be a great fit for this group?
Yeah, it's a great question. I actually have 2 answers here, so bear with me for a second.
Let's do it.
I also kind of wanted to stick with my era. I'm a Jersey boy. I did not grow up a Maryland fan. Part of the reason I chose the school was because of the swagger and everything that the early 2000s teams carried. But I'm not going to sit here and dissect the 2004, 1997.
No Len Elmore, no Tom McMillan coming in here.
Look, they'd all be great. I pick Len Bias. How about that? So for me, what immediately comes to mind, and I think this is the cop-out answer, which is why I'm giving you 2, is this team could probably use a lead guard who can score in bunches. So a Mello, a Cowan, a Gravis, right? The obvious answer is the best players that we've had in the last 15, 20 years. I think a guy that would really fit in to what we're doing, and I think what Buzz wants to do, is like a Jake Layman.
Yep.
That was the first one that came. Yeah, that was the first one that came to mind for me. He can do it all. He can shoot. He's super athletic. He can defend at times. He was efficient. he improved from year 1 to year 4 of his time at Maryland. So I think he would have fit in really nicely to what we're trying to do here.
And positional size, Buzz seems to like guys that are all 6'7" and athletes that can move across the lineup. So that's a great fit. All right, I went Juan Dixon as my obvious no-brainer that I'm going to immediately discount solely because this team will desperately need 3-point shooting, I think, and Juan is just an instant floor spacing by himself, a career 40% shooter or close to career 40%. I think he was like 39.5 as a senior, so right there. But Kevin Huerter was the other name I had, just another guy with some size that could really shoot it, average about 15, 5, and 3, and shot 42% from 3 during his sophomore season here on a lot of volume. So I feel like that's a dude that could instantly help out. But Layman was sort of the other one I was deciding between. So they seem to fit enough of what Buzz is doing here to make some sense. So, all right, any other names here?
He crossed my mind too, by the way. So,
yeah, I mean, you need the Red Mamba. He's got to at least get an honorable mention, right?
Yeah, no, I would think, like, again, the Wands, the Gravises of the world, and the Mellows were the obvious answers, but I think Layman and Huerter would be an unbelievably good fit for what they're trying to do, for what Buzz is trying to do.
Gravis super unselfish when he needed to be, but also could get it up at times when he needed to. So I'm picturing him with that unlimited green light, full usage that like Wade Taylor and guys like that had. It'd be incredible to watch.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually think this team could use somebody with the green light, and you're teasing one of my other answers with Wade Taylor, by the way, because I think this team is missing that piece, which is like a Terrell Stoglin who could just get shots up when he needs it type of thing.
All right, we'll save that one because those names are definitely going to show up here in a second. The next one, I would just say, I'll frame it this way. Who's one player from Maryland all time that you think Buzz Williams would be most likely to want to add to this group here? I'm going to give you one of mine up front. It just feels like Bombali Osby or Boom Osby would be like one of the most like Buzz Williams names ever. Like I could just see him bypassing like this like 50-year great history of basketball to just go for like this ultimate workman guy. He was 11.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 2 blocks a game, like a little undersized, but would just like bang with anybody in the post. That just feels very on brand for what Buzz is about.
Yeah, I had one name that came to mind immediately, and it was Bombali Osby.
Really?
I wish I could screen share right now. I literally have it up to reference, and he's the one that came to mind. Like, again, undersized at his position, works really hard. He scored 12 points his last year in Maryland a game, and he could like kind of shoot the mid-range jumper that came out of nowhere. Like, he had slight improvements. He worked his tail off. He could block. He could rebound. He hustled. Like, he screams Buzz ball to me.
Same.
I actually think that whole kind of like era of, dare I say, under-recruited, like Dino Gregory type of guy, Landon Milborn-ish. I know he wasn't a big necessarily, but like any of those guys I think would have really fit what Buzz wants to do. But yeah, Boom came immediately to mind when you asked this question too.
That's really funny. Shout out to him. That might be the first time he's been referenced on a Maryland podcast since he was on a Maryland roster. So
if he is listening, fun fact, I did teach Boom Osby how to break a lobster apart at the North Campus Diner. Just throwing
no kidding. Okay.
Real story.
All right. I mean, that's the kind of connection you get when you're actual Maryland alums here talking to Maryland basketball. So that's pretty good. Other names I thought of that were Buzz-ish guys. Terrell Stoglin, again, just seems like a guy that could do Wade Taylor-y things. Averaged about 22 points per game his last year at Maryland, 3.5 rebounds, about 2 assists. Got a lot of shots up, 17 field goal attempts per game, basically. Made 41.5% of them. Shot 39% from 3, though, on 7.5 attempts per game. So not afraid to get him up. John Gilchrist, another one sort of in that archetype guy that could just come in, and I think they would both love and feast with the ultimate green light here.
Agreed.
All right. Any other names that we didn't mention here that could be Buzz guys for you?
For me, it's that whole era. Again, like it's Dino, James Gist.
Gist is a good one, I think. Yep.
I think that entire like mid 2000s, again, I'm going back to like when I kind of started at Maryland, but from a competitiveness characteristic standpoint, I think that's him and Gary are looking for the same types of intangibles. So it doesn't surprise me that most of the players we've named come from that era.
Or like Gary favorites too. Like I was thinking Jordan Williams, but somehow he would have made him redshirt his first year, like just and work his way into it.
Oh, poor Jordan.
Yeah, that one. That's one of the what ifs I think all time here. All right, last of these topics. Who's the one player from former Buzz Williams teams that you think would be a great fit from this particular roster?
This is the one where Wade Taylor came to mind again, just because looking for a guy with a green light. Marcus Howard at Marquette was.
That's another one.
Maybe better at doing that. The most obvious answer here is let's get Jimmy Butler.
Right.
But I don't think that one quite counts. But so I'll go kind of the same mold as what we're talking about, like a more matured, better type of like Osby. Jay Crowder.
Yeah, let's go.
I think like would add an enforcer in the middle. I don't know what he averaged, but it was probably close to like 20 and 10 his senior year. He was really
17.5 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, and shot about 35% from three.
Yeah, so he did a really good job there. I think his Marquette players like immediately stood out to me. He was there, I think, more. His teams were better there.
It was the best year. So
yeah, DeAndre Hunter too. I don't think he technically played for him at Virginia Tech, but he did recruit him there, or did he commit? I don't know. I could be wrong there. But anyway, I think the name that came to mind most immediately for me were Wade and Jay Crowder and Marcus Howard. Again, it's the green light, it's the toughness, it's the type of things that this team may or may not have. We just don't know yet.
Yeah, Howard's a great one. I didn't think about that. I went a little older school of the Marquette guards. I had Darius Odom. Same kind of vibe though. 18 points per game. Got a lot of threes up. Shot about 39% from three. The only real Virginia Tech name that stands out though is Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I mean that kind of guy could definitely fit on a team like this. Average 16, 4 and 4, 2 steals per game, 37% from three. So I think he could easily fit in on probably any team you put together all time. But that was like the big name of at least the guards on the Virginia Tech side.
Yeah, that's a great one. He's long. He could pass. He could rebound. Again, like this is kind of a team that I think is going to be looking for somebody to take over early and be the guy. Nickeil is exactly that type of player. So I think that's a good one too. Yeah, the Virginia Tech era of Buzz is kind of like it happened, but it's not all that memorable. So I think that's why like Jimmy Butler and Marcus Howard and Jay Crowder are the ones that stand out.
Yeah, it's hard to say no to a guy that's a 6-time All-Star or a guy that was Big East Player of the Year and things like that.
I think Jimmy Butler will just kind of
he's okay.
Move on from that one.
I also like the Nickeil Alexander-Walker shout out because that's like the guy I'd love to see Darius Adams like try to emulate. That like 6'4", 6'5"-ish, play a little on ball, off ball. Hopefully, as he fills out a little bit, can start to guard people a little bit more. But hey, if he turns into that in year 2, I think we would happily sign up for that.
Yes, please.
All right. So last topic we're going to do here, just kind of changing gears a little bit from that. Which Terps could win Big Ten awards? So I can kind of run down who won stuff last year, just so people get a sense for the caliber of player that typically gets these awards. So we're going to do Player of the Year. So last year in the Big Ten, that was Braden Smith. We're going to do Defensive Player of the Year, which last year was Ace Baldwin from Penn State. Freshman of the Year, obviously all the Terp fans will know, Derik Queen. Sixth Man of the Year, Will Riley from Illinois. Coach of the Year, Tom Izzo. No shock there. Doug Wojcik was the Assistant Coach of the Year, which is kind of random that they give out Assistant Coach of the Year. I had no idea that was.
This is the first time I'm hearing that name. So
yeah, exactly. That's kind of a surprise to me. And then obviously they do 3 All Big Ten teams, so we'll run through that a little bit. Obviously, we're not going to do each spot on the All Big Ten teams, but just is there anyone on the Terps roster that can make that? So let's just start with the kind of easy one here up front. Could anybody on this Maryland roster win Big Ten Player of the Year in your estimation, Adam?
It's going to be really hard for a Terp to even make the first team, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
And again, we were talking about this earlier. Pharrell Payne's a really good player. I think there's a good chance he makes second or third team Big Ten.
Yep.
But the Big Ten at the top, with the guys that Michigan have brought in the portal, and the guys who are staying at Purdue, Donovan Dent at UCLA, that first team is going to be loaded. And a lot of the second team is going to be pretty loaded. So as much as I wish I could sit here and tell you yes, I think the answer is unfortunately no. A Maryland player will not be winning the Big Ten Player of the Year.
Yeah, you look at the guys who will probably make that all Big Ten team, and I think I would take them probably up against any first team from any conference in the country here. Like the SEC will be loaded, Big 12 will be loaded, but you mentioned a lot of those names already. Like a Trey Kaufman-Renn, a second best player on a team, may ultimately be a guy that could have won Player of the Year in a bunch of different conferences too. So that'd be pretty tough. If there was one guy that if he had a crazy year from this Maryland team, is there anybody you think that like could get there if they best case scenarioed?
It's interesting. Like I said, Pharrell Payne, because I think he has the clearest path to the stat line that you need.
Yeah.
But again, the bigs in the Big Ten, whether you're looking at Kaufman-Renn or you're looking at Ivicic on Illinois, who's might be there too, Tomislav, and you're looking at Yaxel. Like it's just a really tough path.
Yeah.
I think Pharrell Payne is the most obvious one for first team. If somebody on this Maryland team is going to blow up and score 20 points a game, whatever you need to do to beat out Braden Smith,
right?
Miles Rice.
Yeah,
he's the guy. Yeah, he's the guy that I think you could lean on. They may have to lean on him. We're going to find out. One of those two, probably.
If you'd come in and just taken Miles Rice right after his first year at Washington State, it'd be much easier to envision a world where maybe he blossoms into like that first team all caliber kind of guy. But that last year at Indiana was just so weird that it just totally throws off kind of what to expect here. So that was the name I came up with, although I don't think there's a realistic shot of that happening personally. The next one here is much easier to envision, I think, and we have a guy that may actually be a front runner for this. It's Defensive Player of the Year. Solomon Washington is, by all accounts, the best wing defender, in the Big Ten, maybe in the country. So I got to think if anybody has a crack at a real postseason award here, he's as good a chance as Maryland's going to have.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have watched a ton of possessions of Texas A&M defensive sets outside of what we saw.
Sure.
I do know that Ace Baldwin should not have won it last year.
That was a little weird. Yeah.
There was at least 2 or 3 guys, and part of me for forgetting who they are. There's a guy on Rutgers who was really good. Who was someone on Maryland? Juju was fantastic defensively last year.
We can definitely make a case for that.
I think there were 2 or 3 guys more deserving than Ace Baldwin. So Solomon's long. He plays both ends really well. He's aggressive, gets his arms up there, gets in for steals. I think he's got a shot. He can lock, Buzz guys are going to lock down. He's not going to play guys who are going to hustle on defense. The big guys always worry me. Like I said his name before, like if Ivicic is getting 3.5 blocks a game, it's tough to overcome that. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, or any of the 3 Michigan centers that just come in and block a shit ton of shots. Like they may get it by committee at this point. It's funny because I feel like for a defensive award, like your overall prestige still somewhat matters. So your scoring has some impact. So Ace Baldwin putting up a lot of points on a bad Penn State team got more attention, whereas Solomon Washington might be the best 5.3 rebound player in the country this year. And will he get enough attention to get the credit for it? All right, next one. This guy is not a repeat of last year's candidate, in my opinion, but still I think has a pretty good shot at this. It's Freshman of the Year. Is there any chance that you think Darius Adams can make a run here?
Honestly, I think he might have the clearest path to any of these awards. Not because I don't think Solo could win Defensive Player of the Year, but Defensive Player of the Year, to your point, is a little bit ambiguous and hard. It lives in that gray area.
Yep.
I remember that when Morcell won it, it was him. And I forget who the kid on Rutgers was at the time, but it was a whole back and forth about why he won versus why he won. Whatever. Defensive player is a little bit subjective. I think freshman typically stands out a little bit more. It would be cool to win 2 in a row. Obviously, the real front runner would have been Elijah Arenas.
Yeah. And
he tore his meniscus, sadly, so he's out for USC. Trey McKinney's the next highest ranked recruit at Michigan. They're going to be awesome. He's going to be really good. But you've alluded to this. There's a lot of mouths to feed there. I think what Darius has going for him, of all the freshmen that are 4 stars and higher. And by the way, after McKinney, Darius Adams is the next highest ranked one. He has the clearest path to major minutes immediately. And that really matters. So when we were chatting earlier this week about what we were going to talk about today, he was the one who immediately came to mind for Terp that has the best chance to win an accolade.
And it's so funny because, like, to me, he's a guy that could win this award if he averages like 10 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. Whereas like last year, there were like 5 guys that would have slotted ahead of that. It was just like the most loaded freshman class in maybe the Big Ten recent memory.
2 guys went in the top 5 is all you need to know. And that wasn't even the Big Ten Player of the Year.
That's true. And that had been such a knock on, where the Big Ten had been at. It's just not enough pros, not enough lottery picks. That's a guy that had been in the lottery all year was Kaspar Siakachonis. He falls into the 20s. Like, that's another dude that gets a lot of attention there too. So, it'd be great to see Adams. And I think this Maryland team needs him to really pop to be what we all hope they're going to be. So we'll see. Next one here, I think there are a couple guys that could maybe have a shot at this depending on how things play out. It's 6th man of the year. Like, David Coit just fits that archetype of like, Lou Williams college version, like microwave scorer to just come in and be a combo guard to get some shots up. Somebody like Isaiah Watts maybe has a chance at something like this. If Rakeese Passmore, pops and is the player people thought he was coming out of high school. If they don't start somebody like Elijah Saunders, could he win it? There's some dudes here. I think that's both like the strength of this Maryland team and the flaw is that there's so many guys that you would love to have be your first guy off the bench, but there's like 10 of them on the roster. So I don't know, any of those names particularly stand out to you, or did you have a different one from that group?
No, it's funny. My thought was, who is their 6th man? Who's their 7th man? Who's their 5th and 4th guys? Like, I think we can probably sit here and say, we think the starting lineup is going to be Rice, Payne, Adams, Solo, Saunders, maybe something Watts. Like I don't know. Yeah. So whoever the odd man out is, I think Saunders is going to start.
Me too. He should.
But I do think that, like, if he didn't and he played kind of like the role that DHS was meant to play all year, he could win 6th man of the year. There's the smallest itty bitty, tiniest piece of me that really wants to say Del Pino.
That would be cool. I'm all for it after what we just saw.
The story was like the shot he made the other night was awesome. Like, it would be really cool to have a guy come over from a EuroLeague and just ball out. But again, like, we don't know what the bench is going to look like and how those minutes are going to come around. I think I would lean Saunders. Coit seems to be the guy that there's the most buzz about.
Yeah, you can't avoid it. I keep doing it, by the way, and it's pun unintended every time.
Yeah, pun unintended. I've had to live with that my whole life with my last name, so I understand the pun thing. So I think Coit or Saunders comes to mind here. It might just be really hard for one of them to win 6th man because our 6th, 7th, and 8th guys might be playing the same amount of minutes.
That's a good point. Yeah, they could all cannibalize each other's chance at winning this. Whereas last year, if this team had one 6th man candidate, they might have easily won it. So yeah, totally I almost said like quantity over quality, and I don't mean that to disparage our roster this year because I actually like it, but just a different approach of our 5 through 10 can beat your 5 through 10. And
and by the way, that's a trend of buzz forever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, he's going to play his guys. He's going to go in 8, 9, 10 deep. They're all going to be really good. Mm-hmm. And sure, 4 through 10, you could flip through at any moment, and that's good. It's bad at times, but it's also really good at times to be able. You said this, like, it felt at times last year like we didn't even grab 5 outside. There were times where we felt like we had 3 or 4 guys only that were really getting going in certain games. So we have 8, 9 guys that could play this year in any game. Sign me up.
Yeah, not to, again, disparage like a Jay Young, but I was looking for a guy like that to just that when he had like an 8-point game, you're like, yes, somebody gave us 8 points off the bench, or Jordan Geronimo had 4 and 4. It was like the best thing you could ever get.
Yeah, we're going to get a lot of bench points this year. There's no doubt.
And, everybody gives like John Calipari a bunch of like grief for that Kentucky team that lost in the Final Four there, where they like hockey subbed the whole time. Like, that didn't make sense with 2, future Hall of Famers on your bench. With this Maryland team, going full hockey subs here might not actually be the worst thing in the world. So we'll see how they rotate. All right, Coach of the Year here. I think this one's pretty straightforward. If anyone on this Maryland team could win it, It's got to be Buzz. But what do you think it would need? Like this Maryland team would need to do for Buzz to even get his name in that contention? Like top 4-ish in the Big Ten?
Probably like this is Matt Painter or Dusty Mays to run away with. Whoever wins the conference. By the way, everyone loves Purdue. They're going to be great. Michigan has as good of a shot as Purdue does to go deep this year, in my opinion. So I think the answer is they may have to finish third for Buzz to even get a vote.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Unfortunately, and that's just the cards he's being played this year.
There's just some names where I think the narrative will be like better. Like somebody will want to give it to a Danny Sprinkle if they finished, 5 or 6 or something like that. Or I don't know. Can Greg Gard win it if Wisconsin is a sneaky, I don't know, top 25 team?
They may give it to Chris Collins if they go 500. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, if he loses like Nick Martinelli for the year and then they somehow make the tournament, I think you maybe just give him Big Ten Coach of the Decade.
Sure.
All right, we talked about this a little bit beforehand, but Assistant Coach of the Year, which is still wild to me. That's a thing. Steve Roccaforte is probably the only name I've known of a consciousness of this coaching staff beyond his time with the Terps. So that's the name I'd give it to, I think. But
I have no comment back because I didn't even know that award. He is the most well-known on Buzz's staff, first off, and he's kind of like the 1B to Buzz, so to speak, but I didn't even know that award was a thing.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what it takes to win that. It just feels like I don't know, if you were the head coach of the league and you don't win Coach of the Year, but your assistant wins Assistant Coach of the Year, I feel like that's almost like a slap in the face to you as a head coach.
I kind of think a new way that they should do it is head coaches take leave sometimes for illnesses or family stuff where they get kicked out of games. Whoever head coaches the most,
I like that,
during their coach's absence should automatically win Assistant Coach of the Year.
That's a good point. That makes more sense to me than whatever the metric is that they're using to.
In the past, it would have been whoever Fran McCaffrey's number 1 was, but this year we'll have to change that up.
Yeah, whoever has to live with the most complaining from Fran.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
seems like a safe bet. Shout out to DMV native Tristan Spurlock, who is joining Fran at Penn. That's probably the only one who's on that staff I could name too.
I'm a Jersey guy. I am pretty excited to get to the Palestra to see Fran. Pretty excited.
Spoiler for the episode you guys did, you mentioned that today, and I was like, yes, it is literally on my bucket list of things to do. And I never cared about doing it until Fran was there. It just adds to the
I've watched a game there. My wife did her grad degree at Penn, so we popped in for it's so cool. You sit so close to the floor. You're going to be able to hear every word.
I love
that Fran McCaffrey is saying in the Palestra, and it
might not be good for them from an alumni appreciation perspective, but
that's okay.
Good for us. Yeah,
it's good for us.
Cool. All right. Well, the last thing here is obviously the 3 all Big Ten teams. We talked about it a little bit here. I could see if Pharrell Payne, maybe best case scenario, he gets himself onto a second team. That's absolute best case, I think. Realistically, probably a third team kind of guy here. And then again, maybe if a Miles Rice pops, he's another guy who could find his way onto a third team. But that's really all I got here, Adam. Anybody else you think could sneak onto one of these?
No, I think those are the 2. Maybe you get if Elijah Saunders is good at the bottom of the roster, maybe he's an honorable mention type of guy. I do think Darius Adams is, I'm not going to say the word shoo-in, but he's probably going to make the first team freshman.
Yeah, for sure.
I do think he's going to have a fighting chance to win Freshman of the Year. So maybe that catapults him to honorable mention third team. But I think Pharrell Payne, I'd be surprised if he didn't make one of the first 3 teams.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I think a third team should just be a shoo-in for a guy. If he can be the guy we saw in their 2 NCAA tournament games for sure, but just more consistent than the 10-5 guy from last year. The 2 guys I didn't think about when we talked about Freshman of the Year, I guess technically Andre Mills and George Turkson both count as Freshman of the Year guys. I really like what I've seen from Mills. If he can just shoot it a little bit, I think it would give him a real shot at maybe playing his way into some kind of consideration for something like that. But obviously we have to read the most into all these reports we get out of practice and things like that. I have not heard much mention of Andre Mills yet from people, which is a little bit of a bummer because it was a guy I was hoping could be kind of the secret weapon for this team, but I don't know. We'll see.
I think it says something though, that those are the 11th and 12th guys that we're talking about. And I think Del Pino too, that's the end of the bench at this point. And we're talking about guys that have a chance to make a difference. And I think that'll be a really nice contrast.
Yeah.
Last year was one of the most fun seasons I can remember.
Same.
But it will be a very contrasting type of year in terms of scheme, bench minutes, bench production, that sort of stuff.
Adam, I think that's all I got for us here. Anything we didn't mention Terp wise that you just want to throw out? Any hot takes you're wanting to unload before we move on or anything like that?
Not really. I'm excited. Look, the end of the last chapter was sour, and that's unfortunate because it came at a time when we should have been celebrating everything that team had to do. I'm really happy to turn the page, and I think that there were a lot of naysayers, frankly, me included, when Buzz got hired, and he has pushed about every button the right way since he's gotten here, and this is what he does. Like, a lot of people knock him because he does things his own way.
Sure.
I think that's one of the best parts about him.
Same.
He's unapologetically him. He's not gonna change his ways and his style. He's gonna do it Buzz's way, and he's gonna fit into the Big Ten. He's talked a lot about I don't know how we're gonna play. I have to see what our opponents are like in the Big Ten, and he's a pro. So I'm really excited for the next chapter. I hope that we're sitting here in April talking about a really fun tournament run that Maryland had. So I think it can happen.
Yeah, another Sweet 16 would be pretty great, and it would erase the bad taste from last year's group here too. I love what you just said about Buzz because it is a very non-coach speak answer a lot of times, and it's just not afraid to be like, don't know, haven't gotten there yet, which is refreshing because Willard would have just complained about something, and I don't know. But other news for folks, Caden Samuels from Bishop McNamara. That seems like they're making a real dent with him. And another reason why he immediately mentions his relationship with head coach Buzz Williams, who is leading the recruitment, which is just another really refreshing thing. And Adam, I got a homework assignment for you here. If you're willing to take this on, I need you to have Ryan ask around for us a little bit, because a lot of the old guard college basketball media guys have made some veiled references to Buzz really burns his bridges or wears out his welcome with guys, and they're tired of his shtick. Again, maybe I'll get tired of it in 3 or 4 years if we're a fringe tournament team every year, but it just seems like good vibes. And I don't know, I'm all in on it so far. So I would love to know what those things were that just rubbed all these people the wrong way, supposedly behind the scenes, but I can't get a real answer from anybody on that.
Yeah, we'll dig. I'm not sure if Ryan's going to get mad at me for saying this, but we are going to be in Vegas for the Players Hour tournament, which I'm really stoked about. So I have a good feeling we'll be able to get our pulse on things if not earlier. So yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer to your question. He certainly has a timeline that he abides to at certain schools, and I don't know why that ends, but this has been very refreshing so far. So I agree with you that at least at first glance, things look happy, rainbows and sunshines for now.
I attribute the Buzz leaving early thing more to what's the Batman line about you either live long enough to see yourself become the villain, whatever the case may be, get out while the getting is still good, I think is appropriate there too. I will also be in Vegas. So anybody listening to this, if you want to come out to Vegas, come cheer the Terps on, check out over on IMS. There's a setup for everybody that wants to go and be a part of a group package and all stay together and hang out. And I think Jeff and the guys are going to tease some other stuff here coming out. So stay tuned for that. Adam, one last time for us, plug the pod, and where can people find more of your specific commentary on sports in general?
Sure. We are the BlueBlooded podcast. Again, it's BlueBlooded Pod or podcast on all socials, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes. I don't even know Apple Podcasts. I don't use them. Everywhere you can find your podcast. I am Adam H. Hammer on Twitter, Instagram, etc. Please follow Ryan. It's either Ryan Hammer 09 or R Hammer 09.
I think it's Ryan
on
Hammer
all socials. He's going to be all over the place. He's doing stuff with Sleepers Media this year, Field of 68. He's doing our podcast. He's really dipping his toes in. And I am a lurker and poster on IMS. So if you know, but I'm around.
I love it. That's awesome. That's what we like to hear. One of our own here. Adam, thank you for doing this. Hopefully people got a kick out of this. It was just some good off-season content here. Talk about a little bit of what to expect this year. And I think a fun way to kind of preview the roster here beyond just let's list the guys' points per game at their last stop over and over again.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. I am honored. You have had fantastic former players and media members on. I am merely the brother of one. And so thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, no, Adam, you do a great job. So anytime you want to come back, we'd love to have you, and keep up the great work yourself. Looking forward to more content. Again, you got the biggest job of anybody on that podcast. Keep slipping those Terps references in. We need as many as we can get. All right, everybody, you know the drill. If you're watching this on YouTube, click that like button for us, rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. And remember, fear the podcast.